From the heart of the Cape, this is Barnstable Today for Friday, October 17th. Welcome aboard. I'm Mark Mumford.
The Town Council draws our attention today on a couple of fronts. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kevin Friel.
Last evening's meeting on the second floor of Town Hall was competing for attention with the Sox drama up at Fenway.
However, the Town Council provided its own highlights with a wastewater workshop.
Leading off the workshop was Town Manager John Klim, followed by State Senator Rob O'Leary.
We are here once again this evening as a follow-up to a workshop we had back in November 2006 dealing with comprehensive wastewater planning in the town of Barnstable. Probably one of the most significant long-range issues facing us as a Cape community. I want to, before I introduce our speakers, I just want to say that there are many organizations that are represented here this evening that we owe a huge debt of gratitude for their efforts over the past decade, whether it be volunteering their time, contributing financially to providing technical expertise and the like. Organizations like Three Bays Preservation, the Wequaquet Lake Preservation Association, the Indian Ponds Association, the Red Lily Pond Association, our civic associations, and I know that the Cotuit-Santuit Civic Association is represented this evening. Our Coastal Access Committee, I see Chair Bob Jones here this evening. Our DPW and Water Pollution Control Board members, our Hyannis Water Board members, I see Skip Simpson here this evening, and I see Tom Cambriari with our Water Quality Advisory Committee. And I'm sure I'm forgetting other organizations in this community that have provided invaluable assistance to us in trying to come to grips with this very complex issue. We're going to hear this evening, as a follow-up to our 2006 workshop, first from Senator Rob O'Leary, who not only has made this issue one of his highest priority issues representing the Cape and Islands, but also is the chief sponsor of a major piece of legislation that just passed that will benefit every single resident of Cape Cod now and into the future. And so before I introduce him, I wanted to publicly thank Senator O'Leary for his leadership, his statewide leadership on this issue.
And at a time when the state is cutting back, and I was at the State House today, and we're going through the budget cuts and the $1.4 billion that needs to come out of the state budget. This is a situation where, because of the way it's set up, we can actually access a significant amount of state dollars over the next 10 years if the town chooses to move in that direction. To give you a sense of the dimensions of this, the financial potential here is upwards of $1 billion over 10 years. It essentially carves out 33% of the state revolving fund, which is federal funds that come through the state and mixed together with some state monies and some reimbursements from other towns. And that fund is somewhere over $300 million a year. And the language in this particular legislation carves out 1/3 of that, roughly a little over $100 million a year, for purposes of the legislation. So it's a statewide bill, but it's our expectation that communities like Barnstable and largely southeastern Mass, and most specifically the Cape and Islands, will be the largest beneficiaries of it if they choose to pursue it. It's premised on an issue, and the issue, of course, is one that this town is very familiar with, and that is the impacts of nutrient loading on our bays and on our coastal beaches and our bays and estuaries. We know it's happening. We know the impacts that it's having. We know the environmental degradation that's playing out. We know the economic consequences of that. It's not just an environmental problem. It's an economic problem as well. It's a tourist issue. It's a quality of life issue. It impacts in virtually every aspect of our community. But to fix it involves an enormous outlay of money that I think is beyond, frankly, the capability of the town under the current circumstances. This bill will open up a pathway for the town, I think, to address this issue if it chooses to follow it. It has a whole variety of issues involved with it in terms of financing, in terms of flow neutral, which is a fairly complicated concept that gets into issues of we don't want to build infrastructure that then exacerbates the problem we're trying to address. and we want to make sure that the infrastructure that you choose to build, in fact, solves the problem. And so there's language in this legislation that will, in fact, address that problem and move us in that direction. So we're going around to various towns. I was on the Vineyard the night before last. We were on Nantucket 2 weeks ago. We're in Orleans last night. We're talking to communities all across the Cape and Islands, and there's enormous interest at the municipal level to move in this direction. But there is a bit of a qualifier here. There's 10 years to access this money, and there'll be a line, and how long that line is depends on how many communities choose to step up and try to access it. But I would encourage you to at least take a hard look at it. And I know this town has looked has been very aggressive about wastewater issues. I know you've got some projects underway. I know you're looking at further projects down the road.
Thank you, and good evening. Mark Ells, Director of Public Works. What I'm going to do is go through our progress on where we are with two concurrent efforts that are going on in the community. I point these two out because at times they're confusing for individuals reviewing these processes that we're moving through. Those two concurrent efforts are the planning that we're doing at our Hyannis Water Pollution Control Facility and the comprehensive wastewater management planning that we're doing within our coastal embayments in town. Those are two concurrent efforts that have different timelines and will actually result in different products.
Peace was also a focal point for the town council last night.
Councilor Barton read a proclamation launching a special week here in the town of Barnstable.
Yes, thank you very much. This is an annual event that we do. Only in the last 2 years we've expanded it. Every year for the past 8 years we've had a breakfast at the high school recognizing students and other individuals who contribute to peaceful alternatives in our town and elsewhere. And I have Steve Brown with me, who's a member of our No Place for Hate committee and has worked tirelessly on these efforts for many years as well. And what we'd just like to do is read the proclamation and proclaim the next week in Barnstable to be Peace Week, where there will be a number of activities during the course of the week. They were in the Patriot last week, and hopefully you all received copies of those. There'll be a series of activities focusing on violence prevention, abuse prevention, and increasing an understanding and awareness of the wonderful diversity that makes the town of Barnstable an all-America city. And the proclamation reads, whereas in conjunction with the Town of Barnstable Human Services Committee, Barnstable Youth Commission, the Barnstable Police Department, and the Barnstable School Department, the Town of Barnstable's No Place for Hate Committee is sponsoring its second Peace Week in Barnstable between October 16th to October 23rd, and several forums and other activities hosted by local human service agencies and other organizations are planned to highlight Barnstable's diverse community and alternatives to violence.
With visions of oyster stuffing for Thanksgiving not that far off, Sunday marks the beginning of recreational shell fishing for oyster season here in town.
And it looks as if the weather will be ideal this weekend for shell fishing or any other outdoor activities, although it may be a bit on the windy side. Tonight mostly cloudy with temps dipping into the lower 40s. Tomorrow partly sunny early, increasing clouds later with winds out of the northeast at 10 to 20, gusting to 25, and highs in the mid-50s. Then on Sunday, mostly sunny with northwest winds at 10 to 20, gusting to 35, and highs once again in the mid-50s.
And if you're interested in some live sports action, tomorrow at 12:30 you can head over to the Hyannis Golf Course and check on the shotgun start for the first ever Barnstable Education Foundation Golf Tournament. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Kevin Friel.
We'll meet you right back here on Monday. I'm Mark Mumford.